In this segment, we're going to take you on a tour of the new SnapEd State Plan Preparation Site. The new SnapEd State Plan Preparation Site was built using Microsoft SharePoint 2013, which is the world's most popular platform for building private websites that require a username and password in order to enter. Like most portals built with SharePoint, what we're looking at is not a single site, but actually a collection of websites with each one dedicated to a specific function or group of people. Here we are on the home page of the top site, which is where anyone entering the SnapEd State Plan portal will arrive. Before we move to the other sites in the site collection, let's take a quick look at this page. Up at the top, we have a banner that shows the logo for SnapEd, and over on the right-hand side, a search box that will allow us to search the portal. Below that, we have the primary navigation bar, which is showing us all of the individual sites below this one. And as you can see, we have a resources site, one for the LIAs, one for the SIAs, one for the CDSS administrators, one for the FNS, one for the people who actually administrate this portal, and last but not least, a support site that contains educational materials and instructions for participating in the development of the SnapEd State Plan. This is a great opportunity to explain that SharePoint allows you to create very intelligent websites. One of the things that you may notice immediately is that when you look at the top navigation bar in your browser, it may not contain all of the sites that you see here in this video. Each person participating in the development of the SnapEd State Plan is part of a group that fills a specific role in the process. You may be an SIA or an LIA or a CDSS administrator. SharePoint understands the role that you play and will show you only the sites, libraries, and pages that you actually need to be concerned with. For instance, LIAs are not involved in the administration of the web portal itself, and so they will not see the primary navigation link to the portal's administration site. We'll get back to the navigation and those other sites in just a moment, but first let's examine the home page of the top site with a little greater attention to detail. At the top of the page is a graphic banner and a title that indicates that this is indeed the SnapEd State Plan Prep site. Immediately below that is an introduction statement explaining the purpose of this web portal. Next comes an announcements area. The announcements you will find in this area pertain to everyone involved in the process of developing the state plan. To read an announcement, all you need to do is to click on the title of the announcement, and it will open in a dedicated page, allowing you to read the full details of the announcement. Clicking on the word Announcements in the title bar of this announcement area will take you to a page dedicated to showing you all of the announcements that have ever appeared here in chronological order. This makes it easy to review announcements that have been made in the past that have been pushed off the home page by newer announcements. Let's use the Home icon far to the left in the primary navigation to return to the home page of the portal. Scrolling down the home page of the portal, we see that below the Announcements area is a Calendar area. This calendar area is intended to show events that are important to everyone involved in the SnapEd State Plan generation process. It's also configured to show the next 5 events coming up. Just like the Announcements area, you can get the full details on any event just by clicking on the title of the event. Also, like the Announcements area, we can see a full page dedicated to the complete calendar just by clicking on the word Calendar in the title bar of this calendar area. In the full page calendar view, you'll notice that this looks an awful lot like a standard Microsoft Outlook or Exchange calendar. Here we see the same events that we saw on the previous page displayed on the days in which they will occur. As you might expect, clicking on an event in this view will again open the individual event showing its full detail. Closing the event will return us to the page we're on. Navigating this calendar is just like navigating a Microsoft Outlook calendar. We have links that allow us to jump from month to month or even increment the year. Let's use the Home icon in the primary navigation to return back to the landing page of the top site of the portal. Scrolling down the page a little more brings us to the Key Contacts area. At the time of the recording of this video, there are only a few key contacts here, but as time goes on, this list will be expanded. On the home page, this key contacts list will always be limited to approximately 5 individuals, but as you might expect at this point, Clicking on the title, Key Contacts, will take us to a page dedicated to showing us the full list of key contacts, no matter how long it may get to be. Below the Key Contacts area is an area called an Attribution or Copyright Statement area. Scrolling back up to the top of the page, let's look at what's on the right-hand column. At the top of the page is an area titled State Plan Phases. Although it just contains placeholder information at the time of this recording, the information that will be displayed here will communicate the starting and ending dates of the various phases of the process to create, review, approve, and consolidate the SNAP-Ed State Plan. Below that, we have a news feed of news articles that feature information about the SNAP-Ed program in the state of California. Like most news feeds, we're presented with a title and the first paragraph of the story. If we want to read the rest of the story, all we need to do is click on the word More. Over on the left-hand side of the page, we have what's called the secondary navigation. For people new to extranets and intranets, it may seem strange to have navigation across the top of the page, as well as navigation down the left-hand side. The reason to have two navigation systems in a situation like this is simple. The navigation across the top, otherwise known as the primary navigation, allows us to move from site to site in our portal. The navigation on the left-hand side of the page allows you to move around inside the site that you are currently in. The links that we see here on the left-hand side take us to information contained inside this top site of our portal. For instance, under the heading Lists, clicking on the link Announcements would take us to the announcements list inside the site. It's the same announcements list that we've already visited by clicking on the word Announcements in the title bar of the Announcements area on the home page. The same is true for the link Calendar and the link Key Contacts. There are also links to information about getting started, goals, objectives, the project's vision, and the role of CDSS. As you will see when we visit other sites, most of them will have their own left-hand navigation connecting you to libraries and information located inside those sites. Now let's go and visit the Resources site. The Resource site contains links to documents and web pages providing information that will assist you in creating the SNAP-Ed State Plan. As you can see, these links have been logically grouped and organized. You'll notice that the links to documents are identified with an icon that looks like a stack of papers, while links to web pages are identified with an icon that represents a link. The next site in the site collection is the LIA site, which is where most of the efforts involving the work plans, targeting summaries, and budgets will take place. Let's visit that site. Here we are on the home page of the Local Implementing Agency site. As you can see, the layout of this page is consistent with the layout of the home page of the top site, although the information here is oriented towards the work of the LIAs. Again, we have an image at the top with the title Local Implementing Agencies. Below that is an introductory statement explaining the purpose of the site. Below that is another announcements area, which operates identically to the one we looked at a minute ago. The major difference here is that these announcements are aimed at LIAs. But like the one we saw previously, clicking on the title of an announcement will open up the full detail of the announcement, and clicking on the word Announcements in the title bar will take us to a dedicated page showing us a chronology of all of the announcements that have ever been made here. Below the Announcements area is another calendar. This calendar also works exactly like the calendar we saw before, except these events are specifically aimed at LIAs. Below the calendar is a list of key contacts that would be important to LIAs. Then we have the attributions block with the copyright statement. Scrolling back up to the top of the page, on the right we again have an area that displays the state plan phases. Below that is an area called Key Links, which contains hyperlinks that would be important to LIAs. Below that is a SNAP-Ed News area, but this time the search phrase used to come up with the stories has been altered to SNAP-Ed Program rather than SNAP-Ed California, which was used to source the stories on the home page of the top site. Looking at the left-hand side navigation, we see that there are again links to the full page of announcements, the full page for the calendar, the full page for key contacts, and the full page for key links. We also see that there's a header called Dashboards, and underneath that header, you can see that there are two links, a dashboard for the LIAs and county coordinators, and a dashboard for the SIAs. Depending on whether you're an LIA or an SIA, you'll see one or the other of these links, but not both. These dashboard pages are key to the way the site facilitates the building of the major documents that compose the state plan, those being the work plans, budgets, and targeting summary. In subsequent videos, the function of these dashboards and the way that you use them will be explained in detail. But for now, suffice it to say that these dashboards provide a way for an individual to look at a document library that contains hundreds of documents and see only the 2 or 3 documents that they are individually responsible for. Let's use the top navigation and visit the SIA site. Here we can see that the layout of the SIA site is consistent with the layouts of the sites that we've already visited. We have an introductory image, title, and site explanation. Then we have announcements aimed at the SIAs, a calendar of events for the SIAs, followed by their key contacts, copyright statement. Then up on the right-hand side of the page, we again show the plan phases. Then key links for the SIAs, and news items where the search phrase was SNAP-Ed California Program. We should point out here that these are the initial search phrases used for each of these areas, but the site owners have the capability of easily changing the search phrase to make the news items in each site more germane. On the left-hand navigation, we have links to the full page views of the calendar, announcements, key contacts, and key links. They also have 5 dashboard pages that filter the contents of 5 libraries located in the site, one dedicated to each of the state agencies. There are also 2 additional libraries that wouldn't benefit from dashboards, those being the FNS memos and the meeting minutes. Going back up to the top navigation, let's visit the CDSS administration site. As you would expect at this point, there's a graphic, title, and overview statement at the top of the page. Then comes their announcements, calendar, key contacts, and copyright statement. On the right-hand side of the page are key links for the CDSS administrators, then news items for them. Their left-hand navigation contains the normal links for their announcements, calendar, key contacts, and key links. It also contains a dashboard to facilitate the portion of the state plan that is generated by the CDSS administrators. There are also 2 special libraries, one to contain the state plan in segments as it's being assembled, and one to contain the consolidated state plan as a single document. Next on our tour is the FNS site. The layout of this site is almost identical to that of the sites we visited, except that here the information is aimed at the FNS representatives that will be using it. In the navigation on the left-hand side of the page, there are 2 libraries that will be visited by almost everyone involved in the creation of the state plan. These would be the FNS County Responses, which will contain the county-by-county response Excel worksheets generated by the FNS, and the FNS State Responses, which will contain the FNS responses aimed at the agencies. The last library, the Approved FNS State Plan, will contain the final approved state plan as a PDF document. Next, let's visit the administration site. The home page of the administration site is laid out using the same functional areas as the other sites we've seen. The purpose of this site is to give the administrators of the portal access to the special dashboards that facilitate the process of generating the state plan. These dashboards include one that will automatically create, name, and distribute all of the work plans and budgets. Another will automatically generate and distribute the notification emails announcing the start of each phase. The phase management dashboard will allow them to smoothly move documents through the creation, review, editing, and approval process, while the PDF configuration dashboard will automatically convert approved documents into Adobe PDF files and organize them according to their position in the table of contents for the final state plan. Complements of SharePoint's intelligent navigation system, only the administrators that are able to perform these functions will be able to visit the site or even see it in the primary navigation at the top of the page. The last site in the primary navigation is the portal's SharePoint Support site. This site provides a series of brief video segments that will teach you all about the site, your role in it, and how you can use the new features that it contains to facilitate the creation of the state plan. You'll find that if you watch these videos in the order in which they appear, they represent a complete curriculum that will allow you to easily take advantage of the features built into the site. However, you don't need to memorize anything. If you ever need a refresher on how to perform a specific task or function, all you need to do is come back to this site and watch a brief video. And that completes our brief tour of the new SnapEd State Plan Preparation Portal.